Greetings, my movie geeks, and Happy New Year for 2 weeks ago. Yay, I'm late. New year, new me. That's what I say every year, but do I stick to it? Do I fuck? If I did, I wouldn't have to say it every year. But this year, in all honesty, I didn't say it. I just decided to carry on as normal. Not that I don't have anything I want to change, but because why worry about it? So here I am, in all my glory, back doing reviews of films that I've watched for people to watch me do the reviews of the films that I've watched. Does this have anything to do with the film I'm about to review? Nope. I wrote this without even knowing what I was going to review. In fact, going back, I don't even think this is a review of a film. So the last film I saw in 2021 was, well, it was the Harry Potter films. And I have a lot to say about those. But in the cinema, I saw Spider-Man No Way Home and felt like I should probably add my voice to the conversation whilst having a sort of midlife crisis. I'm just watching my life ticking by slowly. Just going. As I see my children grow to a point where they don't need me anymore, I felt the Spider-Man film resonated with me because it is so scatshot with nostalgic fast pacing that I felt like I was simultaneously watching Spider-Man 4 and The Amazing Spider-Man 3 all at the same time as Tom Holland's trilogy ends. I gotta say, I didn't realise how much I enjoyed the return of aspects from The Amazing Spider-Man. Probably because I watched this with my son, who now grunts at me without looking up from his phone rather than saying hello. I watched those films through his eyes. Andrew Garfield was his Spider-Man, and his return, spoilers, was a welcome one. Probably more so than Tobey Maguire, who arguably should be my Spider-Man, seeing as his first pretty much live-action one. I do remember the old one. That was terrible. So spoilers, by the way. So whilst I'm on spoilers, did anyone else go to YouTube the day after No Way Home was released and see camera footage spoiling the film? Because it was the most annoying thing to have, because I have to stay away from YouTube, and basically I live on YouTube. If it was just me, tell me. I don't know, but they were there, and it was really annoying. But why was it that Andrew Garfield's appearance in this film was more iconic than the rest? Could it be that his tenure as Spider-Man was cut short at his height? Was it because he was able to complete his story arc within a film that wasn't even his own? Let's have a talk. Let's have a discussion. Only having 2 movies under his spandex leotard, it's often thought and said that the Amazing Spider-Man movies weren't great. But even though the sequel certainly had a lot of missteps, a lot of issues, it did tell a story, close and personal to Peter Parker's origin. There are many things to love about Mark Webb's Amazing Spider-Man films, one of which is the more realistic and excitingly conspiratorial interpretation of Spider-Man's origins. Yes, Uncle Ben is still shot by a man that Peter refused to apprehend, and yes, he is still bitten by a radioactive spider, but the Amazing Spider-Man and its sequel expand on his personal origins more than any other film. The inclusion of Oscorp in the story, much like the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, and the revelation that Richard Parker was working on a secret project for Norman Osborn, serves the story, providing an emotional backbone to the origin of Peter's powers. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 expands on this and states Oscorp's super spiders, which were produced by Richard Parker, were infused with his own blood as the basis for his experiments, meaning the spider bite would only have ever happened and worked on Peter. The story for both films are fairly standard. The first deals with the origin of Peter and the nemesis who has a crazy plan to make everyone like himself. He's a lizard and believes everyone should be. Bit weird though. Garfield's interpretation of Peter Parker highlights Spider-Man's high intelligence. He's smart. He's a millennial who is able to do anything he puts his mind to. In comparison, Maguire's Peter is probably more akin to a boy genius. But Garfield's, we see, he's a prodigy. They're completely different, but they're very, very clever. He's able to understand and help Kirk Connors finish his father's formula. He develops his own web fluid, and in the sequel needs to smarten up his tech to be able to fight Electro. These scenes of him being scientific have carried over into the MCU Spider-Man films, especially in Far From Home. God, there's too many. When he builds his own suit. The scene that stands out in the first installment is when he uses his webs to track down the lizard by observing vibrations in the sewers like an actual friggin' spider. Yes, this cleverness is shot down when his bloody camera is found and it has his name on, so he knows exactly who he is. Take the Stark tech away from Tom Holland's Peter Parker, and Garfield is easily the smartest person in the room. Well, for now, after No Way Home, it seems Peter Parker is now similar and more vulnerable than the previous Spider-Men's. Where was it going? The Amazing Spider-Man 2 hints at a larger Spider-Man universe. That opened the door for countless possibilities. This has been teased by the MCU with WandaVision, Loki, No Way Home, but Amazing Spider-Man has Oscorp at the centre. Sadly, Oscorp doesn't exist in the MCU for the moment. Spider-Man's greatest foes were all lined up in the Origin basement. They were all set to appear in a cancelled Sinister Six film that would lead into more Amazing Spider-Man installments, building to a bigger narrative. So they were doing stuff, but Amazing Spider-Man 2 just didn't hit it. While many believe that the Amazing Spider-Man 2 went too big too fast, it actually tends to fall more in line with Spider-Man's life in the comics. Spider-Man is always busy. There is always too much going on in his life that he has no control over, which is why Peter Parker often has to take the back seat for Spider-Man, which he arguably does at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. Look at No Way Home. Tobey Maguire is introduced as Peter Parker, whereas Andrew Garfield is introduced as Spider-Man. So you have that split. The two different actors who played Spider-Man bring their best. Tobey Maguire is Peter, Andrew Garfield is Spider-Man. For the other issues, many claim the Andrew Garfield films had multiple villains, were never the Amazing Spider-Man's problem. Now Spider-Man 3, on the other hand, had way too many villains that Sam Raimi didn't even want to include. If Sony don't decide to continue or add Andrew Garfield to the Venomverse, No Way Home was able to give Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man the closure he deserves and he wanted. You know what scene I'm talking about. MJ falls, Holland's Spider-Man leaps to save her, but the fantastic Green Goblin takes him away, leading to Garfield leaping to save MJ. This time concentrating on the jump rather than shooting the web to catch her. It's a great scene and was sorely needed for the completion of Garfield's Spider-Man character arc. Again, if it isn't picked up, then it's fine. It's ended. It's been closed. Finally, Andrew Garfield is excellent in the role of Peter and Spider-Man. He gave it his all and was unceremoniously fired for allegedly not making a meeting with the Sony higher-ups. But being brought back was brilliant. The moment he returned, the cinema I was in erupted. He fit back into the role as though he hadn't even left. It was perfect, and that's not to mention how long he lied to questions about appearing in No Way Home. He knocked back question after question, saying he wasn't in it, successfully lying to everyone until opening night. Give that man another film.
Rumors galore that you will be in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh boy.
What do you think of those rumors?
I feel like I'm in a game of werewolf, and I'm just saying I'm not the werewolf. I am not the werewolf. I promise you guys, I am not the werewolf. So yeah, I mean, listen, what people are talking about is a really cool idea, and again, I haven't received a phone call, but you know.
No Way Home was an excellent display of nostalgia at the same time as telling a story that moves Holland's story forward. Now let's see which direction Holland's Spider-Man will go in the the next MCU movies. And here's hoping Sony make the right decision and add Andrew Garfield to the Venomverse, continuing the Amazing Spider-Man story. Because I want to see that Sinister 6mm with him. What did you think of the Amazing Spider-Man films? Were they good? Were they bad? I think we can all agree that despite what you thought about the films, Andrew Garfield deserves that second chance. Wow. Wow. I got through a whole video without mentioning Superman and how Henry Cavill deserves a second chance. Come on, Warner Brothers, you can do it. Thanks for watching. I'll be back next week. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Why not ring the bell? I'm Nate the Ultimate Movie Geek. Bye for now.